episode of Power Move Makers. This series was created with a simple goal in mind: to bring to the table high-level executives, successful entrepreneurs, and just all-around inspiring human beings. Not just focusing on their success, but more important, shining a spotlight on the road they traveled to get there. Now, this week's guest, I'm looking forward to this conversation because, like myself, me being a marketing and branding guy, he is literally the brand man. He has got dozens, tens of thousands of up-and-coming artists, aspiring artists, indie artists, and just all-around artists out there learn how to market and promote themselves in addition to products and brands, and just really showing people the difference between branding and marketing. So this is going to be a great conversation. If you're looking to really market yourself, market your product, listen up. Please welcome to this week's Power Move Makers episode, Mr. Shawn Taylor, the brand man. What up, Shawn?
What's up, man? Always good to talk to another Shawn. You know, different spelling, but same thing.
Yeah, but for a minute, I was like, yo, damn, because I'm so used to calling somebody by a different name. Just now, I was like, yo, I hope I got it right. Shawn.
Yeah, man. But glad to be here, man. I appreciate it. I really appreciate being here.
Nah, thank you so much for your time, brother. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. Okay, so you bill yourself the brand man.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me. Before we even get into the professional side of you, where are you from? And where'd you go to school? Was marketing and branding always in the picture for you? So let's just start with your background first.
Okay, got you. So Decatur, Georgia, East Side, born and bred. Still living in Atlanta, right? I don't really see a reason to, move. I want to have, my whole goal is to have houses in other places, but Atlanta always be my base, right? Some people leave to go, to go and grow. I always said, I want to go other places and live other places, but I'm gonna go up, you know what I mean? Till I get enough money to then just have multiple places and go that way, let the pressure push me up. But yeah, Decatur, Georgia, man, went to Georgia State. So that's a college downtown Atlanta for those who don't know. And marketing and branding was not in the picture, never in the picture until post-college, to be honest. Not in terms of intentionality. All throughout my life, I've always been an entrepreneur, right? And I was marketing and branding and thinking so much like that as a function of that. But I never really put two and two together. I'm the youngest. Older brother, sister, both did marketing. And I guess just like as a go a separate way thing, subconsciously, I went the other way. I went into school for first programming and also computer information systems. I was big into tech, got into entrepreneurship from a big following business standpoint real early, where I had these magazines. I always tell people, it was them kids that go around trying to fundraise for school that are trying to sell magazines. Well, they pulled up to my grandma's house. My grandma knew I loved business, and she got me Inc. magazine, Fast Company. And then I got into those heavy, where I started making my own orders to renew those, Forbes, Fortune, all the magazines real early on. So that put me in from a standpoint where I understood technology was the future. So I always said I wanted to be a programmer to understand the language of the people who work for me, right? Mm-hmm. So I always knew, all right, tech is going to be a big part of things, but I knew I wasn't going to be that guy who was doing all the programming I had the capacity to, but I knew I wasn't going to be that guy, but I understood enough to know that programming is a completely different language. There's a different way of thinking. There's a different culture. If you look at a lot of coders and how they act. So that really helped me and changed my perspective. And now that I'm into marketing and branding, it's one of the things that give me a unique advantage in a lot of ways, right? I'm definitely a differentiator in terms of how I see stuff. So when I have conversations with people, it's usually, I usually can see and understand things in terms of business structure, companies, and how the marketing and branding is going to lead through a user experience, which is a very similar thing in programming, right? You talk about going through the pages and all that stuff. User experience. If you learn that, that's why I think I was training myself additional in marketing, right? Because user experience is, hey, they come to this page and what do they see? What actions do you want to promote? What color is the button? How much information do you put here? It's all trying to drive a behavior. And that's where I consider myself an expert in just human behavior. And that applies to sales, marketing, product development, and so many things in life. And I just apply it. It depends on, I communicate it through marketing these days.
Got you. Okay, you said you're an entrepreneur, so you're in the right place. Our platform is geared toward entrepreneurs and people who just want to rise through the corporate ranks within their respective companies. So I love your story, just about how you were a marketer, an entrepreneur, but you had this perspective as a marketer. But I want to go backwards for a second. Did I hear you correctly when you said your brother and sister are both in marketing?
Yeah, they are.
Are they company people or are they entrepreneurs like yourself?
They're both company people. They both work at some pretty big corporations right now.
Okay, so is this like conversations when y'all get together for Thanksgiving? Because it's interesting to have a family of marketers, a family of people who understand true marketing?
Yeah, we definitely talk about that a lot. I fought with my sister before because she was like offended, thinking that, I don't understand marketing, or feeling like I felt like I understood more than her because, I went to school for this. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but I'm doing it from the trenches. And, we have all these conversations and perspectives, and she loved commercials from the very beginning. So we'll have all types of conversations about why stuff happens and people not understanding why they get influenced and all that stuff. Like one of our big things is, it's like my dad's from Newark, New Jersey. And I spent some time living up there for a little bit, a real short time. But he always talked about that to not get conned, you got to be a con, basically, up there. You know what I'm saying? When he was growing up, like, you just got to know how to move it. And that's how I feel about marketing, right? It's like you have to understand. A good marketer can even understand when they're being marketed to, and when you're going down the funnel. You can appreciate it. You're like, oh man, I'm making this because they did that. You know what I mean? And you appreciate it. And it doesn't mean, look, I'm gonna buy it. I know why I'm buying it. I'm actually buying it. But it's important that you know the real why, not just thinking that you want it. But most marketing and the slickness and the trick of marketing is to make people feel like they want something that they feel like it's their own idea, it's their own opinion.
Absolutely. And the reason I ask you this is because typically people who work for companies, their idea of marketing is somewhat different from an agency on the outside or somebody who works independently. So I was just wondering, y'all got to have very, very different type conversations when you get together because, interestingly enough, marketing is very broad, as you and I both know. 100%. And I've come to learn, especially working with a lot of brands myself, a lot of different corporate brands, they think unilateral. They think, and they're almost trained to do so. So it's an interesting dynamic being from the outside. Before I move this along, where would you say your area of expertise? And this is, I'm talking for the audience now. Mm-hmm. Marketing, branding, those are very broad scale terms, right? You have the print, you have television, you have social media, you have grassroots, you got traditional, non-traditional. It's so much in terms of that goes under this one umbrella called marketing. Where would you say your strength lies?
My strength lies in funnels, building digital funnels, especially, and then advertising around that. So that's where that lies. Branding, I don't get too specific about branding because to me, everything is brand. Every communication is an opportunity for branding. So that's just more of an overall. I don't know about specific spaces within that, but when it comes to marketing, it's digital. Yes, I do a lot of influencer marketing and all those things as well. But like my bread and butter that I love and I want to talk about so much is just that infrastructure of a funnel where you can build some ads or however you want to bring awareness to, and then it just pushes people down to whatever the 2 to 3 actions you want to over time. Because so this is what I get into. I feel like a lot of marketers focused on marketing, right? And they're great at marketing. This is where we messed up in building products and not businesses a lot of times, especially marketers, especially with the music, right? Where marketing, branding, creativity comes natural to a lot of people, right? But the operations is where the actual business is, right? And I even know people who've blown up on social media, market brand products well, but then all of a sudden COVID happens or certain things happen and they don't really have systems or even basic customer service to sustain it. And when it comes to a true online funnel, it forces you to have consistent and sustainable operational infrastructure, in there. And that's the part that I love about that one, because I don't like to just market for the sake of marketing. I like to market great products because that makes my job easier on the back end. And I like to have sustainable systems in the back end because both of those are going to retain the customer and help whatever I do become exponential.
To all my movers, if you love educational and inspirational content just like this, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. But most important, if you know anybody making power moves just like you, share it. Now back to the video. You're talking over some people's head right now. So I want to dumb it down because I want people to learn from this conversation. Okay. When you say funnels, for our audience, explain what that means exactly to you. And if you have any case studies of artists or brands that you work with and funnels that you put in place.
Okay. So abstract, a funnel is, if you think about an actual funnel where you pour the water down and it comes in like an upside down cone, right? That's the funnel. You're taking people down. People say the top of funnel is awareness. Then you go consideration, all of those steps. And to me, everything really is a funnel, to be honest, right? Or every experience is a funnel, like a relationship. Bam, I made you aware. What up, girl? Start saying things up. Now you start to consider me, or maybe you opt out the funnel. However it goes, I got a finesse when my car broke down with this key fix guy. And I was like, dang, I'm in this funnel, but it's too late to turn around. Really, the simplest way you can think about a funnel is just what experience are you taking someone down, right? What is the guided experience? Because even if you have a bad funnel, it is a funnel. So if I take you to a landing page, what is there? What are they experiencing? What's the next step after that landing page? Is it going straight to a product, or am I opting into like an email list or something? Is that email list following up? So there's all these steps, and what experience are you taking somebody down? The best funnels are controlled experiences, right? Not too many options, because when you create more options, right, there's fatigue. And people decide to opt out, or they decide later, right? Oh man, it's too many decisions. And there's been many such studies. You have 20 flavors of ice creams. People don't make it. Sales often don't pop off like if you have 5 to 6 flavors of ice cream, because you're standing there deciding so much that you just say, "Hey man, I'm gonna do this later." It's like a lot of channels on TV. So that's the funnel. Hopefully that's clear. But in terms of case studies that I could talk about, I'll say which one I want to use.
And we don't necessarily have to go down that road if you don't want. We could keep it more broadband if you like.
Well, no, I'll say this. There's this guy. He's a social media kid in Australia. I'm not gonna say his name, but he first started popping on TikTok. And one of the big things for him to do initially, like, I want to get more of a relationship with my fan base. And when it comes to an artist, companies as well, but when it comes for an artist, it's extremely important to get a relationship with your fan base, right? So early on, talking about doing things like doing like postcards, little contests, right? Like, hey, I'm going to write and send you a postcard, or I'm going to write you a note, or I'm going to email you, or I'm going to do a private call. Just little things that might not seem extremely scalable, right? Because you can't do it with that many people, but early on, especially when you don't have money, it's extremely valuable, especially on the back end. So, because what he's doing through all those experiences is, hey, whenever you want to be into a part of these, you might not get picked, but I got your email. So now I can follow up with emails, follow up with more emails. And what we did, I coupled his, like the fan base that began to be curated and matured, gets to the point where he has a contest for, I'm going to send a postcard that's signed by me, and it's like 10,000 people, right, that are submitting for it off of just a few posts. Now it's like, all right, let's release a song. So not only can I email you multiple emails to prepare you for this, I have you also following me on TikTok. This is all top of the funnel at this point. I also have you following me on Instagram. We were able to, I have a release strategy of post, no money spent, where he followed the 12 steps and did the 12 posts that I wrote out for him. And he got on his first song ever released. He wasn't an artist yet. That's where the conversation started. He wanted to be an artist. We just had to get the fan base right. He was able to get 1 million streams without spending any money, all because he applied steps. But the steps were applied after he had built the relationships, and they were already in the funnel. So you're warming up these people before you just take off. So he gets the organic. I don't know if you know anything about Spotify or algorithms or anything, but basically, what's happening is you have these fans, right? Or these people who have awareness with you. Now it's like, I want to bring them closer to me. Let me offer them things, right? Let me get more information on them. Now that I have that information on them, right? And I've built closer relationships, more personal, more of a personal relationship with them. Now that I have their buy-in, and when I do something, right, I can really leverage that in certain moments. And a part of our push, right, was creating a certain level of scarcity and time where we can then get the fans to all engage. Once they engage, the way Spotify works, right, there's algorithms, and when you get a certain amount of activity within the algorithm starts to pay attention and trigger it, right? So now the algorithm picks it up, it starts to put it on curated playlist. He got reached out to by a record label 17 days after releasing his first track ever. Zero connections. A dude in Australia, he's getting reached out by labels in LA, but he just applied this specific plan, but it's all due to funnels. And I first really got into funnels doing what I did for him for a festival I built out, where understanding that even when it's top of funnel awareness, you can get in people's face a lot of times if you're not lazy, right? And what people do, especially when it's events, is like, hey, here's my flyer, here's my flyer, here's my flyer, here's my ad. But what I was doing back then, now they talk about meme rappers and how these memes, I was leveraging memes and entertainment to advertise, right? So yeah, you got the flyer, specific information about the campaign, but then this other one is like, yo, here's a really dope artist. We really love this song. Oh yeah, by the way, like here's some information about our event, just a little date on the side, and you recognize the logo, the brand or whatever. Here's something that's just really funny. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different things that are random, but you appreciate it because I'm giving you something specific to that demographic, obviously, that, I mean, you find entertaining. It just happens to be for me all the time, at each time. So you can get in people's face. That was just like an aside because I know people worry about that and over marketing and saturation and all that stuff. If you're not lazy, you can get in people's face almost as much as you want to, right? Like your friend that's funny, you always want to hang with your friend that's funny, right? Who got a different story every time you see him. And that, especially when you're in high promo mode, if you're trying to build some energy around something, that's something that you should like always keep in mind if you want to like maximize on social media.
Sticking to this conversation, we all know Gary Vaynerchuk. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about him. Gary Vaynerchuk, his thought philosophy is put the content out there. There's never too much content. I don't care if you drop a piece of content an hour. That is still like a raindrop in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Is that your philosophy as well? Or is there such thing as overkill, being in your potential fans' faces just a little too much?
I don't apply that philosophy for everything that I'm doing. But when I'm, especially now, just as an entrepreneur, I'm building a lot of back-end infrastructure. So I have to take away from a lot of, like social and things like that. But when I'm talking, when all is said and done and certain infrastructure is in place, I'm all about, let's get out there, stay out there as much as possible. I don't really believe in the saturation. If you have enough depth to you, right? And that's what the thing is, right? Sometimes you might be young and not, and it depends on the subject matter, all that stuff, but you might not have enough depth within your category or just in who you are just yet, or how your ability to display it for people to care that long. But even bigger than that, there's a reality that everybody doesn't know who you are. All right. So somebody else can experience you next year and I get tired of you. I opt out. Right. I've watched plenty of Gary Vee videos and, I opt out at times. I might go 6 months, a year without seeing a video from him, but he's not worried about that because he keeps doing what he's doing. And he already knows the reality of somebody's always going to come. Somebody's always going to go. The whole name of the game is to grow so you don't have to hurt when that happens. Right. And a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to hold on to, the fans that they have, the level of engagement they have at any given moment. But if you keep going, there's this long tail. Number one, Gary Vee gets positioned as this maybe creative or just surface level motivational a lot of times. But if you hear the things he's saying, they're all basic science, right? Like he says at bats a lot, right? Look, if I post more times numerically, I do have a bigger chance, right? Of course, you want to apply some strategy and not post somewhere that has, no attention or something like that. But he says that strategically. All right, where's the attention? Where's the cheapest attention at the time? All right. And then even if you look at his model, to be honest, I feel like a lot of people miss the fact that he doesn't have to do the manual posting. He's just walking around being him and they're recording it. But the philosophy of the numbers game, look, he did it. Future did it, right? Gucci Mane did it, like flooding the streets. Like there's so many examples of volume actually working out in your favor. It's just when does the volume and talent and awareness meet? Because sometimes people are doing volume, but maybe that volume is just getting your reps so you can more quickly be good enough, right? And then after that, once the awareness hits, you have a lightning rod, right? Lightning strikes. You see this one thing that blows up. And now everybody's in my brand. I didn't post for like 8 months straight on YouTube. Me and my partner.
Personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all 2020, we were focused primarily on like just back-end business structure, growing the agency, getting certain operations in place. Because I understand, and I really ran into this understanding from the tech world first, just like because being a part of startups and growing stuff fast, when shit grows, especially quickly, things break, right? Systems, processes break. The name of the game is to have enough system and have enough confidence where when stuff breaks, you have the ability to fix it without slowing down too much or, getting knocked out. So we were building a lot of that back end so we can be prepared too. Like I said, go more of the Gary Vee where, okay, I could be out there again and again. But no, man, people, that oversaturation is more of a personal insecurity that people find more than anything, because people are always going to go through their love and hate or hot and cold moments with even their favorite stars. Like you don't listen to your favorite people every day. I'm
just talking about just from the concept, because I try to ask questions that I think our audience will want to know. Is somebody right now, and just for clarity's sake, I started in music industry. I branched out, and most of the marketing we've done over, I don't know, the past 10, 15 years is with corporate brands.
Okay.
You brand yourself, Shawn Taylor, brand man, music marketing maverick. So I'm going to stick for this conversation, if you don't mind, to music marketing and breaking artists, because I know that's your sweet spot. That's the area that you're most comfortable in. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I try to ask these questions because there's a kid out there somewhere, middle America, who is trying to do everything that they know how to do to be noticed. And truth be told, there is not a platform that's out there that is not oversaturated at this time. So when I ask, is there a such thing as too much content? You know, I'm looking for the answer you just gave. In some cases, no, absolutely not. But it has to be a place where the marketing and the talent merge.
Yeah.
If
well, something to consider too is just, well, especially if you're talking about artists, I think influencers in general face it, but I talk to a lot of artists who are so busy about oversaturating their 1,000 followers, 200 followers, you know? And it's like, yo, there's so much more world out there. Like, you can't worry about these people. If these people stay or if they don't, that's why growth is the answer. Just every business has to grow every year. You have to be able to grow so you're not worried or resenting those people who are currently following you if they don't happen to follow you in the future. Because nobody's going to be there always. But yeah, you like that. That's really the answer. Like you said, the talent and everything merging, but also the consistent growth and looking to find new people. You have to always have a new people program, and you have to have a retention program. But especially when you're a certain size, you can't even think about you can't afford to think about retention. To be honest, you gotta be like, yo, I'm trying to get it seen by as many as possible.
You know, it's so interesting, and I love this conversation because your philosophy is the yin to the yang of so many other traditional marketers. Traditional marketers will tell you, pay close attention to those 10 people, those 100 people, those 1,000 people that are your core fan base. Those are the people you want to feed. You want to keep going. And if I'm hearing you correct, you're saying, yeah, retention, you want to give that core 100, core 1,000, all of the attention in the world, but you need to be focused on that next 1,000 and the 1,000 after that. Is that correct?
You have to. Otherwise, like I said, man, like if it's not growing, is going the other direction, because you can only get but so much from your your current fans, and shoot, they might start to resent you if you have to keep going to them for money, right? Like you can provide better services, just like certain clients and things. It's like, yo, man, it's not worth me working for you for this much, but I can work for you at this much, and I can give you better service here. I can pay more people and make sure they're, paying attention to certain details, and everybody's happy. The better your experiences are, the more fans that you have, the better experiences overall that you can give fans, right? Travis Scott, because he has so many fans, he can do stuff like the video game Fortnite and thing. She can do the crazy stages and all those things. If he only had 500 fans, he wouldn't even have the ability to do that. So like, it benefits everybody in the long term, but especially early on, the muscle of growth versus retention, they're very different mindsets, and it's hard to click and switch back and forth, to be honest. So if you have to opt for one, opt for growth, right? And then when you have enough growth, if you're having trouble switching back, find somebody who can pay attention to the retention, you know what I mean, and handle that. But of course, they're both extremely important. It's like making money versus saving money. Right. A lot of people grow up unfortunately, without a mentality or understanding of savings. But then the next level up, a lot of people figure out saving. You know what I mean? But you can only save what you make. You get what I'm saying?
Correct.
So that's the tier. You know, you got to know how to make and then save what you make. And that's what I look at retention and new fan generation as.
Okay, talk to me. I want to shoot some questions at you because I want to get as much out of this interview as humanly possible and help as many people as we can. Say I'm a kid, and when I say a kid, say I'm an artist, because all artists are not teenagers. There are artists who work full-time jobs, but how can I get myself out there cheaply? Does it cost? Should I have this huge reserve of money, or do you have any general tips for me? Maybe 2-3 tips that I can get myself out there on a budget.
The cheapest way right now is TikTok. Point blank, all right? And I'll explain why. So my time in tech, what I learned early on is with every single platform, right, they have a curve just like any business. And when a platform is new, they want as much engagement and culture and cultivation as possible. They need that. So they're going to be better to you than when they become Facebook 10 years from now, and then they're going to charge you for every little bit of attention you want because they can do that. I have the leverage. Everybody's already here. Where you going to go? Oh yeah, go to the next block. Go to the mom and pop store. I'm still Walmart. You get what I'm saying? So finding platforms when they're newer in the curve, so you can apply it to not just TikTok. Always be on the lookout. Some it's a risk because sometimes it's too early with a platform and they might not really ever hit a certain threshold. But TikTok clearly hit a threshold, the network effect, enough people there where it's not going anywhere. So TikTok is a place that you want to be. Reels on Instagram, not just because they copy TikTok, but again, this happens within platforms, right? It's a new feature within the platform. They want to get people using it, so they're gonna add a little sauce to each view, right? Each post, because they want to make sure people are incentivized. They're playing you like they're giving you drugs essentially, right? I'm going to give them more views when they use this because I want them to keep using it. I want them to get addicted to using this. And once they do, and I get enough people like that, and then I can do whatever I need to do for it. And then I'll move on to the next feature. So IGTV went through this, story posts went through this, now Reels is that. So any platform, just apply that same thinking for any platform. That's going to be free. All that takes is your effort, right? When it comes to advertising, it's not necessarily always the cheapest, but one of the most consistent and sustainable when it comes in terms of price is Facebook ads. The beauty thing about Facebook ads / IG ads is, one, it's relatively easy to learn. Honestly, Facebook does a lot of work for you as opposed to other platforms, right? It's easier. Like I teach people all day, and it's easier to kind of get them to understand and get them to certain results quicker on that. So I've seen that for sure. But also understand, for anybody who's listening and not seeing a direct result when it comes to ads, it's not just how cheap can I get my ad, right? And this is an issue that anybody who's trying to come up goes through. When you don't have a lot of money, a lot of times it leads to bad decisions because you don't see beyond the immediate savings. So there's nothing wrong with building a fan base across the world, but you got to have a strategy, right, for that, right? But if I get 1,000 fans in 100 different countries, that's not as powerful as 1,000 fans in this block, right? Or in this city, where now that can do more work for me, because the goal of artificial promotion, which is I call it, is to spark organic promotion, right? So if I got 1,000 people, all together that are experiencing my music, now they can share that experience together. They can go, spread it organically, where if I got 1,000 people in silos across the world that only communicate with me on my IG page or something, you don't get that same thing. So don't just focus on price, because it might be cheaper short term. This any business decision, but the long-term strategy can validate why it's more expensive and why it's worth doing still as well when you get into the ad thing. But there's a strategy you can apply for every single scenario.
Got you. Another one that many artists, especially independent artists, they always want to collab with well-known artists.
Yeah.
Is this an effective strategy still? Would you recommend to any artist who's trying to get themselves out there, save up your money, go get a known artist, collab with them, get them on your record, and you're off to the races? Or is there a better way to use their budget?
For the most part, I would not suggest people reach out for a collab, especially when you're on a startup. There's levels when it starts to make sense. So I'll walk through this. There's phases. Phase one, what you need to understand digitally is just this artist's makeup. If you feel like they're worth collabing with, that means I'm assuming you feel like you have some similar fans with them. Digitally today, you are able to target their fan bases or something similar in that space. First, start there and get those fans that way. Start to establish enough for yourself. You can do YouTube placements and target their music videos and things like that. If anything, that starts to warm people up for when you do have a feature with them, right? Now they've known you, they've been seeing you on their videos, and now all of a sudden you got a song with it. Oh, snap, right? The strategy. But the amount of money that features cost a lot of times, especially from the people that you want to do it with a lot of times, is not worth it, because in many cases, because what happens is they'll get the song, right? A lot of times the artist that you're getting the feature from, Chris Brown, whoever, right, might not even know, right? Somebody who got extra verses, a producer, a manager, or old manager, you got a verse, that artist doesn't know. They're not bringing their attention to you. So you talked about the endless abyss of content online. Why does it matter that you have this person on the song if, one, that person doesn't give any attention to it, they're not in the music video, or they're in the music video and they still don't promote it, right? And two, you don't have the money after that feature to then promote that you have this person on the song. You get what I'm saying? So there has to be levels, and you have to be prepared for that. And then one thing very specific when you get into the feature game, because it is something that is useful. Don't get me wrong. Again, after that phase where you establish enough, you should start to see people on Spotify that are related to you, right? People who listen to you also listen to this artist, and Spotify kind of naturally gauges it in terms of levels. It's not going to be someone at the top of your genre. It'll be people in similar. So it's easier to collaborate with those people for similar money, right? Or no money at all, because y'all are on a similar level. And then on top of that, once that collaboration is done, right, what you need to make sure you do is, I forgot the name of it. It's like a priority tag or something that you do on Spotify, where it's posted on their page. All right, so you can do a feature with somebody, and literally, like I said, not only is it not promoted, it doesn't even show up on that artist Spotify. But you can also do a feature with an artist, all right? And then you have to ask for their permission. They have to grant this. Spotify changed it that way because people were finessing a lot in the past. And so make sure if I had to do any deal with somebody, I would say, a part of this deal is me being on your priority and showing up on your Spotify. Hey, if it doesn't make sense right now because you releasing, or on your dark mode right now, cool, but I'd rather just wait to do this or release it around when you can promote it and put it on your page, so I can get all this organic extra attention.
Yeah, and if I can add anything to that, and I know this is your space, but this is not 2010, 2015. The world has changed. And
Yes, sir.
if I could give any advice to any up and coming artist, I'd say save your money. And the reason I'd say it, just to add to every one of the great pieces of advice you just gave, Spotify is not playing, they're not adding a record if it's not cleared. And there's so many different layers to get an artist cleared at this point. So whether it's Spotify or it's any of these different streaming services or even conventional radio, terrestrial radio, the chance of you getting the use out of this feature that you paid tens of thousands of dollars for is slim if the label or management or somebody that artist is signed to does not give you the proper clearances. You can have this record, it can be a hit record, but you're not going to be able to expose it. So I don't know if that's the best strategy like it once was even 5 years ago.
No, like it's something that you touched on. People don't understand that it's not just about what the artist wants. Like exactly. You said, it could be somebody completely different. Your artist, well, oh yeah, man, you good. Like an artist asked me to do a video on him and I use some of his content. He asked me to do it. And then the people shut it down, the rights and all that stuff. Like he, you know, so no, that's the thing. Only collaborate with people who are probably indie. That's going to be the most control and most worth it if you do it.
Correct. Let me ask you, because, and this is just a question that I want to know. I'm sure somebody wants to know this out there, but is there a cheat code? Is there something that Shawn Prez, if I was right now to go and jump into the studio, can I do something that is going to make my video, my song go viral? Or does it really just come down to the work you put in? Because it's easy to look at a Cardi B, seeing what she was doing online before she blew. It's easy to look at a 6ix9ine and all of the success that he's had and so many of these other artists. Just as simple as I can put it, is there a cheat code? And if it is, I want to know.
Hey, man, you already know the answer to that is no. It's just, I hate the idea of that because it's so much more going on behind the scenes that people realize. Like, I've been a part of tracks. Like, I had one track. We worked last year, went #1 Billboard, 6 weeks over WAP and major songs like that. Then I had another track that should have went maybe not as high because he also didn't have the support, which is a part of it, right? In terms of a label infrastructure, but it should have went very, very viral. It just went viral, right? But it should have went very viral, except for there's some things that happened with the artist that was featured on it. They shot a video. The video she didn't like the video the first time around. They had to reshoot the video, but the reshoot never happened. And all that while, they made all the marketing stop because they were hoping for this new video. And next thing you know, the moment passed, and then TikTok, all that stuff happened with TikTok. You know, the potential ban. So then the money guy got scared of spending the money at all. Next thing you know, 6 months passed, we missed the moment, right? Like, there's just all these little things that people don't think about, not let alone relationships and things like that make it very hard, especially consistently. Anybody can get lucky and go viral once or get caught, catch a quick little wave, but it takes systems and so many other things. Systems can apply to everything, relationships, to money, team, all those things are important. And if it was just money for the people who say, oh, you just got to have money, I could tell you from two perspectives. Number one, look at the famous people who got a lot of money, who have kids, who want to rap, who want to sing, who want to do things that ain't what you would think it would turn out to be. All right. First, look at that. Right. And then from a technical standpoint, I can tell you, I've had even the same artist, maybe one song that you're running an ad to, and then another song that you're running an ad to, and completely different levels of responses, prices, and all that stuff. Just one song. The content matters, right? The content does matter. And last thing I'll say to that is, for you know, for also people say, well, what about those songs that they don't think are good? One, stop paying attention to other people. It's just too many factors in the world, and people got different opinions and experiences. Maybe it's not your vibe, it's somebody else's. But two, it's I say there's the trash can, and then there's good music mountain. All right. And the only thing that matters is what's remarkable. All right. What's remarkable, what's worth remarking about, worth talking about. Right. If it's at the bottom of the trash can, you're not hearing about it. If it's at the bottom of Good Music Mountain, which means it's just good or it's okay, you're not hearing about it. But the stuff that's the worst stuff or whatever, but it's still worth, yo, did you see that? Or did you hear that? Oh, it's gone, because it creates conversation, right? For whatever it is. And the best music, those are the things that take off most organically and become the craziest moments, right? Like you can think from a Gangnam Style, which is a good, bad song.
Yep.
Good, Rebecca Black with this song Friday, which was horrible. It went viral for being horrible. Blueface, like 2 years ago, or maybe it was only, like 2 years ago, his whole thing was offbeat. Like people are, oh, this dude is offbeat. He's so offbeat, people thought it was funny. So they were like, yo, you gotta go listen to this dude be offbeat. And next thing you know, you're there and you starting to like it, and you trying to make other people realize, look at how offbeat, y'all laughing. And next thing you know, the track's running up, right? So it's always about what's remarkable, whether it's the top of the trash can or the top of Good Music Mountain. You're probably, so just because you have good music, it only means but so much.
Okay. If, because you have mentioned several different platforms in this conversation.
Yeah.
Is there one platform, because there are so many, and everybody is not a brand man, Shawn. Everybody doesn't understand systems. Everybody doesn't understand funnels. All they know is I know how to make a record, and I just want to get this out there. So if you had to recommend, or maybe the answer is no, focus on all of these different platforms, but if you had to recommend a platform to focus on, we talked about Facebook, we talked about Instagram, we talked about TikTok, we talked about Spotify. Where does a young artist put their time and energy and effort if they're trying to break? And then one other question that I want to add to that, is SoundCloud even relevant anymore if you're trying to get your music out there?
So question number one platform, if I had to choose it without knowing anything about anybody, TikTok, again, because one, it's on that curve. You're creating all this. They want you to post. They want you to post more, and they're giving people a lot of attention. Now that's going to change in not that long, right? Because they got a lot of attention already. They have a lot of leverage already. But I mean, to the point that you can beat the government. So because you're a lot where you are. But yeah, TikTok, the organic attention, beautiful, right? If you're an artist, especially, the whole thing is for people to make dances or content to music, right? In any other place, you're advertising your music. TikTok, they're looking for music to create content. It's expected. So if anything, start there. You don't have to do something silly or all these things or play yourself. Even if you don't want to post a TikTok yourself, you can have your music on there and pay a few other people to post from there. So that's the way I look at that. Now, the general framework, you say being everywhere. I'm not about being everywhere for anybody. It just, until you hit a certain threshold, right? People never pay attention to the process. People always pay attention to like where people are at that moment, whether the artist, a business person, whatever. Most people, I can't name anybody who didn't, but pretty much everybody I know has focused in one place, excelled in that place, right? And then you start to spread. The people that we look at as successful. Most diversification is a strategy for the rich, right? Whether it's rich in money, rich in talent and resources. But if you're diversifying this $1, so now I got $1 in 10 different places. If I double up anywhere, that $1 went from 2. But if you're doubling down in the right places and that $10 is all in one place, the right place, that 10 went to 20, or at least it's a spread between 2, that 5 will go to 10, right? So you have to find the right platform, what makes sense for you, right? You have to pay attention to history and behavior. Like, it doesn't make, even if it's the right, oh, this is my favorite platform, but nobody's there. Well, bro, you got to be realistic. But at the same time, like, find the thing that makes the most sense for you. Focus there. Because most people don't even have time, honestly. If you're trying to have this conversation, listen.
I'm sorry to interject here because I want to make sure I'm understanding this. You're saying, look, you recommend TikTok, if I got that correct, because TikTok wants you on their platform and they are rewarding you for using it.
You have to.
But outside of that, find the one that works for you. So
got to.
If Instagram starts rewarding you and you start to see, I'm getting all of this engagement from my fans, you say, instead of taking that $10 and spreading it over 10 different places, I'm seeing Instagram is where I'm getting the engagement. I put my stuff out there on 10 different platforms, but this one is reward me. Let me take all my money and go double up, triple up, and just go full steam ahead there. Am I understanding that correct?
100%. So yeah, like that's what I said. TikTok is only general advice without knowing anything about anybody, but you got to find your bag, right? What's working, and double down, triple down from there, because what the name of this game overall is momentum, right? And whenever you're putting effort and energy somewhere else, you're losing some momentum in that other space. Even if you feel like you're winning, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, I got this little hit. And that's what messes people up too, right? You hit this level. And I had that trouble in life, right? Where I can get to a level fast, but then when things slow down, right, you go find the next hit where you can go from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 real fast, and you're addicted to that part of the game and seeing those quick flips. But that next level is just staying there, and you got to 20, but what do I need to figure out to get to 30, 40, 50? And that's the people who stay in that, right, that bag, that you see elevated on any level, right? They just stayed there. They stayed on those levels, committed, and figured out what it was to get to that next level. And that's what people do on platforms, business, it's so many places.
Okay. Say I find a platform that's working for me. Can you give me some quick tips on how I can get my fans to engage? Is there anything I can be doing, whether online or offline, to get more engagement from my fans?
Yeah. Real quick to answer that last question. SoundCloud is not completely irrelevant, but it's far down the totem pole in terms of benefit for most people.
Thank you for remembering that. I definitely, I wanted to know the answer to that myself.
Yeah, but they're trying though. They're trying. You know, they'll probably be in a different version of themselves at some point. That's useful. Just not the what we knew them for at one point in time. But the next question in terms of engagement. So one, understand you and what you care about to talk about. Because one thing that I know, I understood it early on, but it's validated all the time, right? Is what you put out there is the energy that you're going to get put out, right? So if you want to talk about marketing, right? You talk about marketing a lot, people going to want to talk to you about marketing, right? So you are, as an artist or whatever type of brand, you start to be family friendly, or have your kids and stuff, or talk about dogs, or go to the club. Like, people are going to relate to you for those things that you decide to put out there. So find where do you want to connect, and then put those things out there. And obviously, hopefully, it's organic for you where you don't get tired of it shortly, because then it becomes a headache. It becomes a headache if you start to do well at it. You don't see it at first, but you're just trying to get some attention and do well. But once you do well and it's not the thing that you want, it will become a headache. So just start there theoretically, because you don't know what the platform like someone might be on in general. And then other than that, I would just have as many in conversations with fans or followers that have substance as possible, because what you learn from those is how people see you in ways that you can't. Like, you can have your strategy. I could say I want this to happen brand wise from when I master plan it in my dark room or whatever. But once I come out there, there's this reality of how people actually perceive me. And your brand is how other people perceive you, not how you perceive yourself or what you want them to perceive you as. All right. So have those conversations to get a vibe from it. Pay attention to some of the things that they're saying and see if there's something useful that you can pull from that to then create more engagement. All right. So I would just say start there from a general standpoint for everybody.
Got you. We're living in an era of COVID. God willing, this will be the last year that we have to live with this.
Yeah, say that.
What are some of your recommendations for artists to make money during this time? Because it's not like they can go on the road. And as we both know, this is where artists' bread and butter used to lie, is on the road doing shows.
Yep.
That's cut off. Many artists are home now, God willing. Most of them are recording and have 3, 4, 5 albums in the can. But if you can give any recommendations to any artists out there, how can they make money and survive during an era of COVID?
Well, there's 2 ways, primarily, right? You have a influencer approach. If you're creating content, getting out there, advertising, like with sponsors and things like that, that works. And I know a lot of people who are making a lot of money like that. People got over dependent on the tour thing because there's already been these monetization routes online, but it was just so easy. It was already there. Let's just do this and not invest in these other things. So like that is a real thing. And artists have to remember that they are an influencer. There's this weird mentality where I don't want to be thought of as this. I don't want to be thought of as that. And you can't try to over control that because you really can't control it anyway. And it's like most of these, I don't know. I don't even want to just say kids because there's people older than me that just don't seem to understand. It's like, yo, no one's going to just pigeonhole you in terms of being an artist or I was a YouTuber or something like that. Like, because there's so many people in our history, from Will Smith to Sammy Davis to Queen Latifah, that did multiple things, right? Like you don't have to just be one thing. It's not going to pigeonhole you. So don't be afraid of just doing the influencer thing if you have that capability. Everybody doesn't have that capability. That's when we get into the second framework, which is monetization through ads, right? And specific growth. Because you might not be the guy who wants to post all the time or be on the gram or anything like that. But what you're going to have to do is still create the awareness. The attention has to happen regardless, all right? So if you have ads, even more important to have a funnel, right? Something to capture that and make sure it gets monetized and used well, because ads is directly spending money. People feel it. People don't feel as much waste when they post on social, right? And there's no direct ROI, but ads, people immediately, okay, understand, I want to see some money coming back. So running ads to some kind of funnel, that's going to be the best way to lead to the monetization, which is typically live shows, merch. You got to get outside the I'm just an artist bag though, where live show and merch are like, because you can do a live streaming show. I don't mean like a live show in real life, but you can do a live streaming show, you can do merch. That's the typical stuff, but you're still an artist. And you're still an influencer and just a personality that people care about, right? If like you think someone wouldn't pay to just hear Jay-Z talk, right? Like, or have a conversation, maybe a small meeting where people, you talk about business a lot in your brand, or you talk about makeup a lot in your brand. Hey, have this small conversation and community that's intimate with a few people about whatever some of these side topics that are adjacent to your brand, right? There's so many different experiences that you can monetize around your brand and around you digitally. You do it every day. You see it every day. It's just, especially artists, like once they say, hey, I'm an artist, they kind of eliminate all these other options, but you can get as creative as you want to.
Understood. Couple more questions for you before I let you go.
For sure.
One of the I guess, revenue streams that many artists are taking advantage of is streaming. Everybody's trying to get on playlists.
Right.
What is the best way to get on these playlists? There are millions of artists out there. Everybody's trying to get, the 10, 20, 50 spots on these playlists, and there's just not enough playlists to go around. So is there a way that artists can ensure that they'll get on these playlists? There's a lot of people out there saying, hey, give me X amount of dollars and I can get you on a playlist. Should I trust these people? Like, what's the best way for artists to get on these playlists? Because that's another revenue stream that they could take advantage of.
Man, I say the best way is honestly either trial and error or to have a relationship. It really comes down to that.
Elaborate on trial and error. What does that mean exactly?
Trial and error is paying somebody and not knowing if it's high quality, real until after it happens.
Okay. Are you saying, in your experience, there is no more organic, I just put out a hot record and my record just winds up on a playlist? Is that almost not the case anymore?
Yeah, not at all.
Really? So right now I can come out with the next, I don't know, the next biggest record on the planet. Shawn, Prez, brand new artist, and I got a monster. You're saying that there's little to no chance, Prez, I hate to bust your bubble, but as much as you might know, as much as all your friends and in that core 100 person fan base you have may tell you this is a hit. Mm-hmm. You getting on some of those playlists organically probably is not going to happen.
I mean, well, think about how many core fan bases there are out there who really say, man, I wish this got experienced more and more people should appreciate that artist. Like, so one, you already have to deal with the subjective game. And two, there's Spotify in bed with the labels for, better or worse. And the labels are only going to let so much happen because this is real estate, right, for them. So they're fighting for that. Just like, Lay's and I don't know, Golden Flake are fighting for space on the shelf at Kroger. You know what I mean? Like that's that game when we talk about the biggest and official playlist, even if they have rules in the building that you can't just, pay somebody and things like that, you still have to know certain people. There's still, hey, look, if you ain't signed, if you're not X, Y, and Z, you're not going to get on those playlists. Then you have the other playlists that are third party, which a lot of these companies, whether it's Spotify or whoever, aren't extremely favorable towards. That's when you get into the risk of, is the playlist real or not? Should I pay this guy my money? There are some playlists that will put your music on for free. Even when you reach out thinking you're going to pay, right? And they're, oh man, I rock with this artist so much. And I see that, oh man, I want to put them on my playlist. Had that happen plenty of times before. But the reality is, like so many of those playlists, if they have music on them and they are quality, they're only putting music on them to have a platform that they can charge to get on. So most likely it's not going to be a young new artist, right? Or that's trying to get attention that's not paying to get on. It's somebody that's already going to get them attention that's not paying to get on. And then you get into this mix naturally. Because also you don't want to hit, there's very few people in terms of just human nature that are just going to go, let me go hear a whole playlist of artists that I don't know and songs that I don't know completely. All right, that's just not how most people work. So the organic, let's just talk about Spotify, biggest platform, most that people want to know, right? The most direct version of organic and that they do have is, like I referred to earlier in the conversation, and that was the algorithm, right? If you can get enough activity where the algorithm picks it up, you have a high chance to end up on things like Discover Weekly and so on over time, whether it's because people save your stuff. So now you end up on their like, their new music recommendations, or you have enough attention where it starts to get picked up. And it can happen where, bam, enough attention happens it gets on all these algorithmic playlists that picks things up based on people's behavior and what they like. That's nice. And then maybe it's heard by so many people. There's somebody that works at Spotify and has an editorial because they hear it, they're a fan on it, they want to give it a shot. But it's such a slim part of the game. You can't plan around that. And, you know, for better or worse, it's almost non-existent when we talk about playlists. Everything is there and done for a purpose. And I understand that as a marketer, right? Like everybody has their agenda and it's being set up. And look, if I had a platform that got people millions of streams, I would charge for it. I would tell anybody to charge for that. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make sense. You put in that work, and now because people say, "Oh man," like so it just kind of is what it is thing. And you gotta, the faster you get past that little glossy, rosy, rose-colored glasses and seeing in front of the curtain that you get when you grow up, because that's the problem. We all see in front of the curtain when we grow up. We don't see behind until shit gets real and you decide to be in that industry. That's every industry. Until you get past that, then you're gonna have a hard time in music, but really, like I said, pretty much any industry.
Okay. You know, we spoke a lot about, and I know this is your strength, which is online, digital.
Yep.
If I'm a young artist, does terrestrial radio work for me? You're in Atlanta, V103. Do I want to get my record played there? Should I focus my money on the DJs? Does the club still matter? Do any of these offline channels still hold weight for an artist trying to break? Or if I'm on a limited budget, the biggest return on my investment is going to come through online funnels?
By far, it's digital. Not even close, especially for a new artist. When we talk about terrestrial radio and the top 40, and which is now, you know, everything is kind of like that. For the most part, you don't get as much regional. I can go to this city and hear their local stuff, which was nice back in the day. Like that's I built this track up, and now I'm trying to go to the next level of awareness. This commercial. That's when you hit the terrestrial radio for the most part. You're not going to get much from that aside from that. Now, the club, I don't care what you say, you're never going to tell me that having a group of people together and them having the ability to experience your music at once is not going to ever like not be relevant. Like that's all. The clubs are always going to be relevant. That just is what it is. Some people might not know how to work them, or might not make music for the clubs, but the clubs will always be relevant. And the ability to target and be in clubs in certain areas it's really easy, easier than being online in some ways if you can play that game and you know how to play that game.
You want to know, so many people are not. They don't want to put the work in. The club requires you to get up and physically go and work.
And relationships and all that stuff.
Yeah, and you have to cultivate those relationships. You got to be up to the wee hours of the morning doing what you do. Yep. Being online, pushing buttons is so much easier. And I'm with you. I think that there's never going to be a substitute for those clubs, people drinking, hearing your music loud the way it was intended to be heard. Yep. All in one.
And having an experience to it.
There
together.
You go.
Yeah. Together.
Yeah. But so many artists do not want to put in that work because it does take time. It does take time for, even if a DJ hits your record once, twice a night, to create that familiarity with that audience. You know, this is months-long process. So I couldn't agree more. I think that's never gonna be a bad outlet, but I was just wondering.
Never.
Shawn, I appreciate you being here. Where could my audience find you if they're looking for you?
For the BRANDMAN Network on YouTube, go to brandmannetwork.com if you're trying to get educated, need some courses or just consultations and thoughts from my team. That's a good place to start for most artists. But if you have, you're trying to run some agency type thing, you'll go down a funnel. You'll see, but go to one of those two and you'll end up where you need to be. My funnel makes sure of it.
Shawn, I appreciate your time. I mean, you're doing so many great things for these up and coming artists. My assistant told me about you, and he was like, this is somebody that we need to get on the Power Move Makers platform because he is making moves and helping so many artists out there make moves. So I appreciate you. I salute you for what you're doing, and you are a true Power Move Maker. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All love. What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.